All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Right on. A lot of debates going on this morning on socials. I've been seeing that due to the conservative convention last night in Calgary. I've been seeing a lot. I've been vocal on one thing, and that's only what happened to me. But I will say this: look, we have a democracy, so you choose who you want to vote. That's up to you. I'm not going to criticize people for voting for politicians or anything like that. I mean, look, we have the choice to vote for who we want. Let it be. But for me, right now, when you know the history of constitutional conventions, the Meech Lake Accord, Charlottetown, anything, even the Quebec referendum, anything that has to do with the people speaking up and saying we had enough of the federal government and the crown, then the crown intervenes any which way. They manipulate. So I'm just going to refresh the minds of folks and maybe get a clear understanding of what's really going on right now. It's propaganda. It's the biggest mindfuck you'll ever seen compared to the other stuff, because Canada's about to lose its shirt. It's about to divide. It's about to fall apart. And the people who've been profiting off of this system are the ones that are screaming right now because they're afraid to lose the Bank of Canada, right? What was that? Oh, right on. I got some weird sound that went off. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at here is this. You can vote for who you want to vote for. You know, that's your choice if you want to vote for Liberal, NDP, Conservative. But for me, I'm just going to say this, my own personal opinion, my personal experience on top of that. You know, I've been always a conservative voter. Okay, 100%. I've never voted for any other party. When I came to Alberta, I voted UCP. Even when I worked with Jack Layton, okay, working, volunteering, and doing stuff for Jack, I didn't even vote for Jack. I voted for conservatives. And Jack knew this. And Jack, at the time, he respected everybody's choice to vote. And that's where I learned this from. But we're in a different time right now. And anytime that the people go out and speak up against the system, against the government, what does the government do to the people? Well, I don't know. Let's rewind to Freedom Convoy 2022. Let's rewind to COVID 2020. You know, none of them did anything for anybody. I lost my restaurant. I ended up homeless after the COVID, you know, after the convoy. Didn't say much to anybody about that. I was too embarrassed to talk about that and tell people publicly that I was homeless because of the feds. The feds, Doug Ford, the municipality, public health, but all brought down by the feds who were all in it together. Remember that. I protested COVID because I screamed when I lost my shirt. I lost my shit. You know, some people work their entire lives to save up, to open up something new. Me, on the other hand, I had the opportunity a couple times in life to be smart and always work for myself and employ others. I've been an employer most of my life. But when you need help, at the time that you really need help, and they say, oh, we're going to help you, and they don't, and then they turn around and send building inspectors, what was the other thing? Structural engineer to make sure that our building was structurally sound. I mean, they went to all lengths to close us down, right? And, you know, they don't care what happens. And then you have the government saying, oh, we're going to give you all this money to help you pay your rent and this and that. And they didn't give us nothing because, you know what? It didn't qualify. I didn't have 10 employees. I had 2. I only needed 2. But you know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. You save up, you work hard, you know, you fall, you get back up, you fall, you get back up. You know, in 2003, I started working on my own. I started building my own call center. I employed over 1,500 souls in my call center. I took people off the streets, right off the streets, and I would train them if they were willing to work. And they ended up being the best reps that I had on my phones. And again, what caused it to collapse? Well, a combination of 2 things. One, government in the United States that collapsed because it didn't know how to handle the housing market, because that's what I was doing. I was working for AmeriQuest, Chase Manhattan, and Fannie Mae. Those were my main 3 major clients. And lost my call center after that, right? Plus I broke up with my ex, and, you know, it just, shit happens. But you get back up and you keep fighting, right? You just don't let it bring you down. I let it bring me down for about a year and a half. I was depressed after that. But you know what? I got back up. I started my thing. And I thought for sure this restaurant that we took over a union hall that my grandfather used to be a member of. And there's a lot of family history with the union hall, and even with, you know, our friend who took it over, you know. And right in the right area, because, you know, my mom's Sicilian and my dad's French Indian, right? But we were in Little Italy, and we thought it was going to be great, and we were doing good when we opened. We were doing excellent. Every night I made a profit. But then here comes COVID, and then I have Aaron O'Toole, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, you know, all standing there on TV. We're all in this together. We're all locking you down. We're taking everything from you, right? Look what Quebec did. Look what they did to their citizens. Ontario was pretty bad. Alberta too. I mean, under Jason Kenney and that, I mean, like, it's government. That's the problem. The government. They think they can control us, tell us what's good for us. And then if we don't like their narrative, they'll call us names. And that's what they do. That's what every one of them do. Look at, man, Justin Trudeau went to the extreme on many occasions. Even right now, their own Liberal caucus still to this day call us names. Right? Now the new one is for those of us who seek independence for Alberta to get away from the corruption. Well, apparently now we're all traitors and all these other beautiful names. It just never ends. Name calling, because it's going to hurt your pocketbook. They're screaming. So what I see right now is an interference by the feds to try and prevent the Alberta people to vote for a referendum to become independent. They don't want us to, because they know we are the cash cow of this country. And more importantly, I ask every Canadian citizen and every Albertan in this province, right across the country, what has the feds done for you? Name one thing they've done good in the last 10 years, other than legalizing weed, right? What have they done good? What have they done for us? What has anybody done to address the CSIS report that's called out politicians on every party and every level of government for conspiring with foreign states and terrorist groups? That's treason. That's beyond treason. But yet, no accountability, no arrests. I mean, how many more billions of dollars do MPs have to rip us off for, and then it gets sloughed under the rug? Arrive can scaps, sponsorship scandal. I mean, we can keep going about everything they do. What's the point of supporting a federal system? That's what I ask folks. I'm not telling you what to do, but try listening from a perspective of someone who's been directly affected by the feds, who took everything away from him and his family. It destroyed my family on top of that, what they did. I used to be really close to my sister. Nope. No more relationship there, thanks to COVID, thanks to all the back and forth fighting and opinions and the government driving its divisional wedge in between every family across this country. How many folks have lost family members and relationships, and even lost loved ones for, overdose? I mean, we can, you know what I'm saying? Like, what have they done? They're destroying the fabric of Canada. So therefore, the provinces have to step up and protect its citizens and protect its core interests and say, well, the feds are just obviously not constitutionally managing the country whatsoever. They're selling us out to China. They're destroying our relationship with the United States of America, who's been our greatest ally and neighbor and, basically family. But just because you don't like Trump, like, that's just, you see the childish behavior by people who call themselves leaders. CPAC now is basically boiled down to a online show of as the world turns, and it's a soap opera. That's basically what it is. It's a soap opera, man. You don't see anything ever get done. You never see it's other than authoritarian bills that get passed because they manipulate the majority, they manipulate the seats. I mean, the West never has the same amount of seats as the East to make an impact or have a say to stick up for ourselves. We never have it. Nobody, and not one federal MP stands up to say, "Hey, we have a problem here." Like, when's the feds really spoke up for the West? Never. The West has always known that anytime an election is cast, we don't have a say. We don't have enough seats. There's no equality or nothing in that. It's not a fair playing field. The East manipulates, and it would be nice to see. I would have maybe a little bit of faith in the feds if they spoke up and said, "Hey, man, we need to have equal representation on both sides of the fence of Canada, East and West." So this way here, we'd probably have a better country, being able to make decisions fairly for everybody, right? At least Alberta and BC, Saskatchewan, and everybody would have a say, but we don't. And not one politician. That's on all parties. Not one politician has stood up and said we need to change the electorate zones. We need to add more people in the West so they have fair representation for areas. Nothing like that has ever been done. But yet they cry. They call us traitors. We say, hey, we had enough of sending all our money to the east so that we can pay for the poorest provinces in the country because they can't sustain themselves. But Canada's on the that we must have those provinces because it's value assets, right? We're not dumb. So my thing is, I don't want to drive a wedge between people. I believe in a fair ability to have your say, who you can support without criticism. I don't like the Liberals. I don't like the NDP. I chastise them on their behavior. I try and stay away from chastising conservatives, but they're just equally as guilty. The only party government right now that I actually have faith in is in the UCP. The UCP, the APP, Stay Free Alberta. The UCP laid the groundwork for our independence. And that, I can never say that was bad. I mean, that was the best thing that any politician and government body ever did for the people, to have an ability for its citizens to lead an initiative for their voices to be heard. That's impressive. You know, if Canada was ever to stay united, well, Danielle Smith needs to be Prime Minister. You know, that's the way I look at it. She's the only one with common sense. I may not agree with all the stuff that she does, but I agree with at least 85 to 90% of what the UCP does. Nobody can agree with everything. She spoke for us here in Alberta. She spoke up against the nonsense of the feds. I mean, she's been on point. Do we see anybody else doing that? Trying to make a difference for its citizens, for its constituents? No. So when I look at the Crown now as a whole, on the federal side, and this goes to First Nations and Métis and everybody who's coming in the country and everybody who's come into the country and born here in this country. Right now we have the federal government colluding with First Nations here in Alberta. It's actually across the country. They're nitpicking at chiefs who will take a cash back. We know that some chiefs have taken money from the U.S. side, from U.S. corporations and NGOs, to lie to the public. We also know that there's, the ongoing debacles with the federal government and First Nations in terms of rectifying issues. Never gets done, but more money gets pushed out, right? It's interesting that maybe the chiefs of Alberta should really look at the Indian Trust and say to yourself, Canada built its municipalities off some of that trust money. Okay, and that's a fact. You can read that up. It's right there. Go look it up. And I'm telling you, why is it that some of these chiefs who are calling out people, calling them traitors, and then trying to tell Danielle Smith she has to resign, but their reserves are in disarray, and they've been there since before municipalities, and how come their reserves ain't on par with the municipalities that have been built on crown lands? You have reserves without running water. You got reserves that our homes are run down, and there's gangs just infesting these reserves, bringing kids from Toronto into the res, killing their own kind, killing our people, right? Battling with that. No hospitals built. We have some that have really good reserves, that have high schools, that have a medical center, that have even some reserves do have banks, but it's very little. So when I hear chiefs crying and saying that this is their land and we can't do nothing, well, first of all, I think you need to reread your treaty. Second of all, you haven't even kept your up to par with your own, to sustain your reservations to be on par with municipalities, other than a few, not all. So, and anytime that it seems that when a chief opens its mouth for the feds, it's just dollars coming out of its mouth. It's just speaking money, man, blah, blah, blah. And then historically guilt shame an entire nation for what, forever? When will it end? When will it end? You can't keep calling everybody in this country colonizers and all these horrible things when you don't even take care of this country. The municipalities take care of their areas. You don't see chiefs taking care. When do chiefs collect taxes? When do chiefs have crews out there taking care of our roads if it's their land. And aren't they supposed to be the caretakers of the land? Like, I mean, I'm just trying to point it out here. It makes me, think in my mind that there's so much stupidity, childish, uneducated. I mean, it's just, and then just twist it around to make it like a temper tantrum. We're watching our leaders right now acting like little kids in high school fighting over lunch money when they know damn right the status quo is what the status quo is, and the people do have a say. Then you look at the federal liberals. I'll tell you a story about how I know 100%, okay, that First Nation chiefs are paid off by the feds. And this has to do with the Freedom Convoy. So my role with the Freedom Convoy was I was working with No More Lockdowns. I joined up with James Bowder before we even planned the convoy to Ottawa in January. And he was already convoying in December of that year anyways. When we strategized to get into Ottawa when we got there, okay, in January of 2022, our part for Canada Unity was we took over Confederation Park with folks from different bands. We had people come in from Nunavut. We had people come in from Six Nations. We had people come in from all over the place. Okay, Tyendinaga, Oka, my friends from different places on Manitoulin Island from different reserves. I had Métis people from Métis settlements out of Quebec, and even my family who's been here since 1496 that still live in Gaspé showed up. The intent was we were going to put peace teepees up. We were going to make a ceremonial thing because Confederation Park is it's unceded territory managed by the Algonquins. Now, Justin Trudeau, along with two individuals from Sudbury, Ontario, they all cried and whined and whatever, okay? We had our clan mums from the west, which was Nolene Vilbrun and Sandra, and a few other people, and I believe J.D. Anderson was there too. And they met at a location, and they discussed about, Chief White Duck telling us to leave, saying that we can't be there and this. And I mean, he made a big stink about it. He cried, and he got, and this is the thing, he got a financial kickback for all this by the Trudeau government, right, to do this. So that's what forced us out of Confederation Park, was that whole debacle because of a paid off chief. Just so people know that. People know that. And people ask me sometimes, how come I didn't get arrested? Well, if everybody read the EA, Emergency Act stated that if you identified as First Nations, Six Nations, Tribal or Métis, Indigenous or Aboriginal, then you were excluded. Which blows my mind as to why Tamara got arrested. Because Tamara's Métis. She should have been excluded from arrest. But they arrested her anyways. And I was surprised I didn't get arrested, considering all the resources and coordination that I put together with all the groups across Ontario, and even some in the West. But, again, the federal government pays people off to shut up or to call out other people. I mean, it just doesn't stop. I mean, again, I'm going to ask you all the same question. What has the federal government really done for us at all? Shit, since 1995. Well, we can go back and keep going back and say, when did they this is what the federal government does to Canadians. They'll act like dictators. They'll push these bills on top of bills, and all they do is create more laws. That's all they're doing in government. They just create more laws on top of laws on top of laws. They can't even police anymore. And that's it, right? That's all the government does. What do they have? What have they done to help us? So when they say, oh, we're helping you, they give us a little tidbit of cash via GST check or some type of scam rebate. Oh, look we're giving you some money. We did so good. Oh, $5 a day daycare or whatever. What was the other one? I think the only thing good that the government has done, and even then there's a lot of issues with, is the dental care program. Even that's having issues. It clearly states in that program that everything's covered, but you go see a dentist and they're still charging you for it, and you have to pay out of pocket, right? Government doesn't do nothing about it. So again, it's just a scam. I mean, that's what they do. But then they'll take all our money, hand billions to fund a war that we never asked for. When's the last time a Canadian was asked about the war in Ukraine? Did we vote on it? Did we vote to give billions of dollars of our money that could have helped our country to help do something and fight a war with Russia when we don't even have an army? Never made sense to me. How about all the grants and contributions that went out to other countries to teach other kids in other countries rather than putting that money back into our education system here at home, right? And then when you look at what was being educated in those other countries, well, it was the LGBTQ DEI program, teaching little kids about drag queen story time in another country. Billions of dollars, folks. But nobody says anything about that. Our country's falling apart. Look at every downtown core in the country. Every downtown core in every major city in the country. And what do you see? Tent cities, drug addiction, crime, businesses that are not, they're leaving the downtown cores. You see empty malls, they're dead, right? You have municipalities run by left-leaning goons who are basically responsible for the destruction of our downtown cores, which was based on community and tradition in this country. People used to, that was one thing we all loved to do, was, hey man, we can go, we can't even do that no more. Allowing boxed corporations to come in, create box stores, eliminate malls, right? Profiteering, and look at the price of food. No reason for that. Again, that's another thing. Homelessness right now and the use of food banks is through the roof. It's not just because of immigration. It's because the government refuses to go after the food corporations and tell them, say, that's enough. But no, instead they let them do whatever they want. And every quarter, these Loblaws and all these food corps, they're profiteering in like $500 million. They profiteer $2 billion a year in profits off of us. $2 billion. Right? But where is anybody doing anything about that? Nothing. It's just, oh, here's a rebate. You can buy yourself another couple boxes of Rice-A-Roni and Raymond's and maybe a box of cereal. You can't even get that. And the thing, here's another one. The Canadian government's so hippity up on the health of Canadians. Okay. Super. Remember with the jabs and all the vaccines they throw out and all this other stuff, right? Oh, it's for your own good. They have a dietary system, a dietary sheet that tells us, oh, this is what you should be doing. You'll be healthy. Healthy. Shit. You can't even go to the grocery store and buy healthy food anymore because it's cheaper to eat at a fast food joint called McDonald's to get fat and have a heart attack versus being able to buy some fresh fruit and vegetables at a grocery store. You're better off to grow it yourself. Do you know how much waste is getting thrown to the dumps from these corporate grocery stores, Walmart, superstores, all these places? The amount of waste, and it could have been used to go and help people, but no, it doesn't. A small portion gets donated to food banks locally. The rest of it goes in the garbage, right? You really care about your citizens. You can't even get them to afford to eat, but you want to tax them to death. You want to take everything away from them. Never ever be able to be happy. Never even give us a break. But give billions to Ukraine. You know the amount of money that went to Ukraine could have given Canadians a payout of at least $25,000 each, handed check to every one of us that could have done something, stimulated the economy, and started a spending spree so that there would have been generating income for the government to get us out of whatever we were in. But instead, no, let's not do that. Let's just give it all away to Ukraine. And while we're at it, we're going to come after your guns, and we're going to take those guns and give them to Ukraine. Like, what the hell? So people need to understand, like, don't get mad at me for not wanting to support the feds, because it's their own behavior. And everybody's brainwashed to believe that if we just keep voting, and man, our voting is not doing a damn thing to help us any time. Shit, look at the Ontario government. It's a conservative government in liberal clothing, right? The federal government, I don't even know what you want to call that. I call that straight up Nazism 101 because, I mean, shit, they invited a Nazi into Parliament. And was it 6 times? All of them, all 300, all the MPs stood together, clapping, praising a Nazi. They hate that when I bring that up. They hate it when I bring it up all the time. Because they're embarrassed of it, right? Damn right you should be embarrassed of it. It's the most lunacy thing that has ever happened in Canadian history in Parliament. Ever. Well, let's not forget about the 10,000 Nazis that got free haven after World War II to live in Canada. That's documented fact. Shit, they appointed a Nazi as a deputy prime minister and finance minister who ran the country to the ground in a Soviet-style collapse. I mean, right? I mean, we can go into it. It makes no sense. And then they all call us fascists after, right? No, I mean, this morning I woke up, I seen some stuff, and like, I'm seeing this, there's content creators going back and forth about, oh, you can do it. Look it, man. I'm not getting involved in any of that, but I am gonna say this to the people. What's happened to me justifies the reason why I will never ever support the federal system ever. A real Canada that will function properly, listen up. This is how it would work. The federal government needs to be dissolved, eliminated, out of context, completely gone. We need to have independent states for each province and territory to have their premiers meet in a federal forum so that things can get done. A republic. A true republic for Canada. That's what I support. I support if we have Alberta as an independent state and we have our representative for Alberta meet at a federal forum with all other independent Canadian states. Think of how easy things would get done. Think about how fast Canada would move forward and mobilize and innovate itself with a new type of system. The parliamentary system that we have is a ceremonial dinosaur that bows down to a crown that they say we're not part of anymore. That praises the King of England, that has basically no say in the way we do things here in this country. Why? Why do we have royalty on our dollar? Why are we doing ceremonial procedures in the House of Commons that's been grandfathered in by a UK parliamentary system from the monarchy? What is it, because we're still a Commonwealth country? Then we're still part of the monarch. Quebec did the right thing to vote that out. The Assembly voted 100% to kick the crown out. They took the crown symbol off their provincial flag last week. And they're going to introduce their own dollar soon to be its own sovereign nation. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yet, where's everybody on the traitor thing, right? Right? Nobody, everything's okay for Quebec to do it, but it's not okay for Alberta. It's the way to go forward for Canada, folks. Every province has to do the same. Imagine if we had Canada, okay? Every province and territory was independent on its own. And even the First Nation, Six Nation tribal people had their lands as sovereign. And we had our people, instead of a federal government that's ballooned, and you have representation in a federal forum, everybody has a say. Everybody has a stake in the deal. Everybody can solve problems faster. Imagine if Quebec and Alberta were in a forum and Quebec said, hey, we need this from Alberta. And Alberta said, hey, we need this. Done. No red tape. No, we got to wait 4 years to pass a bill and argue about it. Right? Because that's all the federal system is now. We got to wait 1 or 2 terms, maybe 3 terms before we do anything. So that's like 12 years, 16 years at a time. You have nothing getting done while our people are taking the hit from it. We're the ones paying for it. Not only are we paying for it out of our pocket, but we're having to deal with the repercussions of an irresponsible government because of that. So, again, what have the federal government or any government done for the people of Canada, for the people of each province, for the people of each municipality and township? And, what have they done? Shit. The government is so corrupt. I mean, in some areas of Alberta, we have municipalities that want to put meters on wells so they can charge people for the water they're using in their well. I mean, that's just stupid. That's how bad these governments are. And that's all doled down by a ceremonial process called legislature, parliament, monarch, outdated dinosaur of controlling others. It's for your own good. We're all in it together. And then you're watching the news and you're watching sports people drop dead, right? Just saying, like, I mean, I crossed the whole thing because there's nothing positive I can point out that the government's ever done for us. Nothing. You speak up, they send the goons to beat you up. Or they will freeze your bank accounts, or they'll do this, or they'll do that, they'll make you homeless, whatever, and not even give a shit to lift a finger to help you. Because they want to take everything from you. They want to destroy you. And then put you in a position that you get so fed up that you'll cry to them to have a way out that, according to them, is legal. Legal suicide, right? Like, what has the government done for you? Nothing. Just saying. Now, on the topic of independence, though, what will that do for Alberta? What would it do for every province or any other province? A hell of a lot. Because we have to get rid of the old system to introduce a new system that works for everybody. I'm for that. I want change. I want a new system, just like many others. So, I have to, when I look at what we're doing right now, I got to pick. I can't support federal government and then run for independence. It totally undermines what we're doing. But I will say this. Any other time that there was a constitutional convention or challenge, the feds intervened. And now we're living in a modernized political society where the feds are going to manipulate via social media, grab on content creators, and I can see the messaging now in the next couple months. Alberta and a united Canada. That's what they're going to push. And that's not the way to go. Alberta needs to stay resilient and fight for her independence. I'll fight for her independence all the way. I don't believe in the federal system anymore. I hold my faith in the UCP government right now standing in Alberta, and hopefully that will help us transition to a new system when we get there. Keep voting. But I'm not going to tell people what to do. If you choose to support the Conservatives or the Liberals or the NDP, you choose to do that. I'm not going to chastise you for that. That's your choice, just like it's my choice to support independence. I expect to be respected in that manner, and I expect myself to respect others in their choice. I just want to point out, though, and try and educate and remind Canadians the purpose of a true fight for independence for each province and territory across this country is an absolute must, or else we're just going to continue with a barrage for the next 50 to 60 years until people do wake up. But right now we have an opportunity here in Alberta, and I'm just asking Albertans to listen and just ask yourself this question. What has the federal government done for you? Has there any positive outcome that's benefited you and your family in the last 20 years that's worth keeping the status quo in place? And then I'll ask Albertans this other question. History dictates with other countries who've sought independence and got it, and the outcomes were positive. The change was positive for the people, and they flourished because they fought together, stood side by side together for their independence and never budged. You know what independence for Alberta will bring us. It'll bring us true freedom. It'll give us freedom from the enslavement of the Corporation of Canada, Government of Canada. And for First Nations that live on the lands here, the same applies to you. How long has the Crown and the federal government been on you? Been coming after your people? Not caring about nothing. They're even replacing you with new Indians. Right? So shouldn't we all be on the same page, united, taking a stand to say, we've had enough. We've had enough of it. Let's work together. Let's put our differences aside and achieve our independence to create something new where other provinces can learn from us and be true leaders for a vision of a new republic in the future. It's going to take a lot of time for that, but it's doable. Canadians need to realize the federal government of Canada and its core subsidiary corporations are not your friends. They're just there to take and take and take, and they'll take until you finally give up. We're already seeing that in our population. 57,000 people have died from MAID. 165,000 have died from overdoses. And the federal government has done nothing to lift a finger to save those Canadians. Just so you know that. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I will say this just out of for the Conservatives. Yes, it was cool that you guys got 87%, I guess, with Pierre Poilievre, got his support, so you guys didn't lose a leader. I will say this, I used to support Pierre Poilievre. I used to support the federal Conservatives. Under Pierre Poilievre, I do think he is the right guy for the Conservatives, but I can't support that no more. I just can't do both. Right now, for provincially, we have to worry about two things. Keeping Daniel Smith as our premier and fighting for our independence. The rest doesn't matter to me. The feds, any of that, doesn't matter to me. Provincially, municipally, Alberta, right? We need to, Edmonton, this is the beautiful capital of Alberta that's disarray, that's run down thanks to Marxists. I mean, they ran Calgary down with Naheed Nenshi. They're doing it, and now Andrew Knack's doing it with Edmonton. So for me, we want to get these guys out of government and put the right people in so that we can make Edmonton shine as a true capital of Alberta, to make it look, it needs to be that. What blows my mind is these politicians that go back and forth to work, they don't say nothing about the capital. They don't say nothing, the state of it. So I just want to emphasize on something. When you go to state capitals in the U.S., okay, you go to their state capitals, or look how beautiful their state capitals are. Their buildings and stuff. I mean, not everything's perfect, but it's just their cities ain't run down like ours, right? Just saying. I'm very patriotic to Alberta in terms of, structuring it so we shine as a people. It's not just about our independence. It's how we're going to come out of it. We want to make sure we're proud people. We're going to continue to be proud, and you know what I mean? And we want to make Alberta shine through the whole world. Not just Canada. Want nothing to do with Canada, to tell you the truth. Anyways, I'm going to check the comments because I'm not viewing the comments right now. I'm actually on my OBS paying attention. But I am going to look at the comments now. And we got quite a bit of viewers, man. Right on. Awesome, guys. So on Facebook, we got what? Oh, so between Facebook and... yeah, we've got about a little over 100 viewers, so that's all right. I'm going to check. If you see on my screen, it says share your news with us. If you want to share your news, send stuff to us, man. We want to definitely read it. We want to go up on it. All right, so Nikki Hurley says back to the Hudson's Bay Charter. Yeah. Yeah, Vanessa, you're right. The Crown represents incest, pedophilia, and extortion because that's basically what they've done. The Crown is corruption, according to Tracy. And yes, Vanessa, Chief White Duck is a liberal. And Marsha, you are right. Keepers of the land and all? How many eagles have died to make their headdresses? That's not, actually, I'm going to answer that. That doesn't happen like you might think it does. Usually, eagle feathers are collected when they're dropped from an eagle, but if an eagle is found dead, we don't go out and kill them. If we find an eagle dead, then yeah, they'll use the feathers for ceremonial. They don't waste the animal. I'm just going over the comments right now. Yeah, Sylvia Sador, she says, Edmonton has been turned into a disgrace in the last 10 years, all because of corruption. 100%. I'd like to change that. You know what I mean? I'd really love to change that. Yeah, Clarity Act. Coastal First Nations is an activist group funded by the Tides Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation. And you're absolutely correct, David. We've been paying attention to that. And the first article that ever came out about that, believe it or not, was back in 2014, and then it was re-updated by National Observer just recently. So when I look at this and I'm like, holy, they got outed like, what was it, 12 years ago? And it never stopped. So that's ongoing corruption continuously, right? With the feds and with the chiefs. It's unbelievable. Yes, and Nick says we need constitutional conventions, elect delegates, write a constitution from, by, and from the people, and have a de jure administration. 100%, I agree with you. And that's how the things are supposed to play out. Politicians never lie. Oh my God. Oh my God. Politicians are the worst. The biggest liars in the world. Oh, I still struggle. Don't worry. But you know what? Like, you just do what you got to do. Um, Look into the res dog crisis. Yeah, that used to be a thing, Lori. But I've been on a lot of reserves, and it's not like that. So when we refer to a res dog, it's a dog that all the families take care of. That's really what it is. There are abused animals. I mean, look, it's like that in some areas. I know some reserves are so run down that you probably won't even see any animals. But the misconception about the res dog thing, a long time ago it was a big problem, but now it's, you go on most reserves and everybody respects the all the animals. I mean, we have some reserves, we have wild horses, and we call them our res horses, right? And that's just, I mean, it's just who it is. They run around. The wild horses will run around the reserve wild. They just do whatever, and they'll sit in a pot. They'll sit in an area, lay down, and do their thing. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's my main concern with reservations and chiefs right now is the corruption and how they treat their people. So, on one hand, you have, yeah, I know who Reed Salmon is. He must have went to one reserve. I don't know. I'll have to read it because I know the reserves I've went to. It's not like that. So that's something new to me. I'll look it up. But Reed Salmon's pretty awesome, dude. Um, you look at the reservations and the chiefs and what they've done. So the chiefs are corrupt. I mean, when you have reservations with casinos and gas stations and pot shops and all this stuff that's sovereign ruled, that they're managing it themselves. But then you look at the conditions of their reserve and it's run down, and you start wondering, right? The chief's living in a nice house, driving a brand new truck, with all this other stuff, and then taking money from the feds. So you ask yourself, well, why isn't that going back down to the people, right? It's not. And then you have reservations that they've been crying for. I mean, since the beginning of their agreements to get them help with running water. I mean, we had one reserve that got the money to build infrastructure for the water. There was a reserve that got hundreds of millions of dollars for it. They didn't even build it. And when they're asked about where did the money go, oh, nothing. It's crickets. So I don't like the way the chiefs go out and bark and historically guilt shame Canadians and Albertans or anybody across this country, and then turn around and take all this money from the feds, do nothing to help their people, and their people are speaking up. But apparently the chiefs, you know what I mean? There's some good chiefs out there. I'll say that. There are some really good chiefs out there I have a lot of respect for because they take care of their reservations. They take care of their people, and their people have a say as a community. And you see them doing things. Like you see their reservations growing. So I'll name a couple. In Manitoulin Island in Ontario, there's a little reservation called Michigang. Now that reservation has went through. It got beat down. I mean, it was down. But then all of a sudden, they had a new chief, a new band council, and then they started doing things to innovate, to move forward, so they can bring revenue into their reserve and help their people. They got into the windmill farms, the wind farms, and they're doing awesome, and they've made excellent connections and relationships with other territories. So you have Anishinaabe reserves that are working with Six Nations and Mohawks and Iroquois. So I mean, that's awesome, and they're doing awesome. You look on Six Nations and Ashkwin, Tyendinaga, they got banks, right? Olympic-sized outdoor arenas for the kids to play in, when before those reservations were hit hard with addictions. They turned themselves around because they believe in the people, because they made the change to do right. But we have reservations across Canada that don't give a shit about their people, and they've been doing this for over, I don't know, since the inception of their reservations. They've been just running it down. Remember in the 70s where they were ripping stuff off their homes to heat themselves because the government wouldn't help them, right? Wouldn't give them the funds that was owed to them from their own trust. Like, these are things that needs to be called out. But hey, I'm mixed breed, so, but according to these other white folks, I'm a white colonizer, fascist, I don't know, all these horrible names, not even knowing anything about me, right? And it's coming from another white guy. Yeah, Mitch is awesome. Mitch is a great guy for APP and for Stay Free Alberta, and I commend Mitch and Jeffrey and all of them. What's really cool, I am going to be announcing some cool stuff soon. And yeah, Lorianne, animal abuse is a huge problem. I didn't know about the dog thing and the res thing. I'm actually gonna go check out Reed's stuff after I'm done, because I play his music on my radio station. It's on rotation. But I'm going to check out and see what he's doing, because this is new to me. And so this must be reserves I didn't know about. But I'm just based on my own experience, you know. What was that? Pee-pee's going to save us? I don't know, man. I don't think so. Generational victimhood has created a loss of pride and dignity in First Nations people. You're right, Brenda. And you know, and but that's been brought down by the chiefs too, as well, right? So, you know, the cash cow, like I call it, like, why are these chiefs standing with the federal government? Because it's a cash cow. They got to keep sucking on the cash on the crown tit. That's what I call it, the crown tit. You got to keep sucking on that, and once you're taking your lips off that little titty there of the government, and you look away, and you're like, oh, you got to guilt shame everybody, and then get back to it to get some more milk money, right? Because that's basically what it's been. That's exactly how I see it. Don't think for a second I don't have any empathy about what happened to First Nations people. It happened to my dad. Okay, my grandmother gave up all the boys. They went into schools, right? My dad told me a different story about residential schools that is not, you know, it's not what the government says. My uncles and my dad told me that when they lived in residential schools, there was things talked about. Yes, there was some abuse going on within themselves, and but the one thing he said they loved going to the school because they could learn. And it got them away from the condition that they were in before. And they played hockey. So hockey's a big thing in my family, my dad's side. And that's what they did, right? They played hockey and they enjoyed it. So when I asked them about all the stuff that the government was propagating about, you know, how was it true that these horrors happened? And my dad and my uncles and other family members told me that some of it did happen, but it's not what, you know, not all of it. Like how did he say that? They were just like exaggerating a lot of what happened, and trying to say that just because something happened at one school, it happened at all the schools, and that wasn't the truth. That's not the truth, right? Same thing with the bodies buried at schools. There are some, okay, yes, there are some bodies at some of the schools, okay, allegedly. My dad said that there was bodies buried in Six Nations in Brantford, Ontario. And according to a friend of mine that goes to Lakehead University, apparently they found some stuff. So they, you know, but that was a long, long time ago. But now we have claims going in where in BC, no bodies found, right? And they're going with it, and they want more money, and they want more money. And now they're trying to get the NDP to create a law that it'd be criminal for us to speak up about it. So then you have Dallas Brody and Professor, or, Francis, who got arrested for speaking up and just saying, hey, well, just prove it to us. And then on the other flip side, you have the First Nations band deleting stuff that they had online, which thank God we have the web archive to keep that, but trying to delete stuff because they're trying to hide the truth. So it's money. And who is responsible for all that stuff? The federal government. Again, that's what they do. They interject themselves, they categorize, manipulate, and then if they don't get what they want, they start calling us names. Remember the old terms for us First Nations and Métis before? We used to call us wagon burners and stuff. Remember that? We were what? Savages. Like my family, we used to get called savages quite a bit, wagon burners and stuff. I remember when I was a little kid, a stepfather who was very abusive, who would put down my family, my grandma, my dad. Whenever I'd get in shit, he'd sit me down at the table, and it was a barrage of, your family are wagon burners, your family are savages, your family are just a bunch of drunks, your family's this, your family's that. And my stepdad, his family comes from France, part of the crown, right? Just saying. But was that ever addressed? Did they make a big thing about it then? No, they did not. Look at today. Man, if you call somebody a 2%, you might get banned on Facebook. Just saying, Yeah, I know they label Reed as racist. It's sad. That's what they do. That's their go-to card. We're going to label everybody something because we got to win the narrative. We got to call you a name so I can feel good about myself, and I'm going to get you know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking, sorry my language. It's so childish, and it upsets me that I see that kind of behavior. I name call because I see incompetence, right? I call out because I'm speaking from the heart of the people, because I'm with the people. I'm not some trust fund baby little, oh, look at me, because that's what the government does. They don't get their way, they'll label you some name. Federal government. Yeah, exactly that. They attack characters and deflect. They attack our character and then deflect responsibility with name calling. Right? That's all they do. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Kamloops. Hey, Britt, what's going on, buddy? I just seen your comment there. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, that's why I'm pushing hard for independence, man. I have no use for the federal government, and there's no point in supporting it. That's it. It's either you're going to fight for independence or, what's the old saying, get the fuck out. That's just it for me. I'm not going to tell you, though, folks, who to vote for. Remember, that's just my personal opinion for me. I'm just trying to explain to you, what would be more important here in Alberta. Focus for Alberta independence. Screw the feds. We don't need them. They're going to do everything to interfere right now. And they already started with this convention and all this other stuff. It's coming. And they're going to push this. United within Canada. And they're going to have all their content creators do the same thing. It's a plan. I already know about it. And the reason why I'm not in with them is because I refuse to. I got asked. Fuck that. I'm here for Berta. For our Alberta. For our beautiful land that, it's been taken away from us. And right off the bat, not only that, we're done with the feds. We're tired of paying for Ontario's welfare system. Just saying. Just saying. Used to babysit Reed. Yeah, that's freaking awesome. And you know what? Here, to give somebody mentioned this. What would be the opportunity for First Nations to join the independence movement? Sovereignty. When I'm on territories, okay, and we sit together, we're always talking about how much First Nations and tribal people can't stand the crown and the history behind it, right? And we're always talking about like international laws and how they can be sovereign on their own. Do what Saulteaux people did, right? And have their bands as a sovereign nation. And yet here we are, when we talk about that, and here we are, we have the opportunity to do that right now. We have the opportunity to offer that deal to all First Nations in Alberta to say, look it, you be a sovereign nation within a nation, and we can probably give you a better deal than in Canada. And you know what? Help you go after the Canadian government for what they owe you and get it fixed. Do whatever we have to do so that everybody has a concession. We need to make concessions to make people to understand that we got to work together to make it successful. So concessions are always going to be made. And that is where we're at. But it's hard when you have First Nation chiefs who are paid off by the feds, again, manipulated by political parties, to go out there and right? That's all I get from them. That's just a and it's not that I don't have any respect for Ogimas. I do. I have respect for the ones that are good, who take care of their territories and their band and their people. But if you're an Ogima that just takes money from the feds and cries in support of the Fed, then you're no different than your oppressors, right? That's it. That's all I got to say about it. Moving on. Moving on. I want to check the comments on my other real quick. That's right. I'm going on now. I'm on X because I'm going back and forth between all of them to see all the comments. You're right, Reaper. Fuck the feds. 100%. Got a lot of viewers on X right now. I'm really, really happy about that. Thank you so much, guys. And you know what? I just want to say to those on every social media platform, you guys have been amazing, keeping, trying to help me out and stuff like that. Like, I lost everything, man, after Convoy. I've been still trying to recoup. So my thing is, I want to build something great for Alberta, a good media company. What I don't like is I see others, taking stuff from what we're doing and trying to run with it. Do what you want. That just makes us better. We're going to make things better. So, we're doing what we can to stay alive, just like everybody else is trying to survive, right? But I appreciate everybody's help. That is one thing. I'm always grateful for everybody's help, and I will do everything I can to help you at some point if you need it, right? Just what we do. So other than that, let's just check. I just want to go quickly on the newswire before I let everybody go, in case I missed something, right? Oh yeah. I'm not going to get into that one. Dominion Society of Canada. Oh yeah, they're on a roll today, boy. Holy jeez. My cat's whining. She whines when Mandy leaves. Well, if you are on X, it's interesting today. I just got to say that. It's just more division, really what I look at it. But at the same time, those of us who are standing our ground and doing it right, okay? And what I mean by that is we can educate people about Alberta independence, about the fight for, about how we mobilize our people to seek our independence, get the signatures, do what we got to do to work hard to get there, okay? But then online right now, we're seeing this back and forth between the conservatives and separatists, it's just ridiculous. But the thing is from our point of view, for people who seek independence, we're right. We're just trying to tell people what's the point? What's the point of even supporting the feds? So for me, it's either or. But I have respect for people who want to choose. I'm not going to criticize them. So that's your choice. You support who you want, and that's what you believe in, and I respect that. And I'm not going to attack people for them wanting to support conservatives, or you know what I mean. It's not it'd be hypocritical, because then you know what I mean. I'd be a hypocrite for saying, well, I'm fighting for one thing and whatever, right? So it's just the same thing. I respect people's choice, and I'll leave it at that. But you won't see on my feeds. I'm not going to call out social media influencers. I'm not going to call out stuff, but I will call out the feds all the time, because that's what we need to do in order to fight for our independence, to make a point, to people understand what this fight is about. So I'll leave you guys, and my My cat's funny. I'll leave you guys, and I'll just say this. Just remember, ask yourself the one question. What has the federal government done for you in the last 25 years? Name one thing that's been so good that it would give you the vote to continue to support them. That's all. Anyways, I'm Jay LaFace, Alberta Radio. Like I said, if you guys, I'll be going out getting signatures again this week. So if you want me to come out, and just email me, jason@albertaradio.ca, and I'll come and see you. There's a bunch of new events coming up. There's one today at the Garden Center, Mojo Garden Center in Ottawa. So check that out. That's, I think, starts at 10. Just give me a second. I'm going to go look at the flyer. You know, because Jay, he should have been ready with that. Oh, man. Oh, I didn't. All right, so today, the one I'm promoting is the one in Parkland County, and that's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's at the Mojo Center Garden Center at 53310 Highway 43. So some friends put that together. Just want to say good job, Amanda. Working your butt off getting that done, and follow Amanda Delicate Designs. She does some really cool stuff. She did this shirt for me. So I'm planning on getting some more stuff done, and and then we have February 5th at the Chateau, at the castle, at the Rhine Castle. So that's February 5th, 11th, and the 19th from 12 to 8. Sturgeon County, that'll be at the Grosseteria, and that's going to be February 7th, 8th, and 14th, 12 to 6. And then at the Rockford Bridge Trading Post, Thursdays, every Thursday from 1 to 5, you can go there and sign the petition. So I wanted to plug that. And then if you want to know where the other events are today for signing the petition, you can go to stayfreealberta.com or check out Rise of Alberta. Who else? Marty's been posting it. All of us who, Mr. Alberta, all of us have been really working collectively to push the independence movement. Those are folks that you should follow and that are really pushing hard for the independence movement, and we're on point. So we post the events quite a bit. Rise of Alberta's been doing amazing. Who else? Alberta Proud. There's been so many, everybody. We're doing a good job. So let's just keep fighting the good fight and try and stay centered. And let's not remember, folks, those of us who are seeking independence, what's going to make us better than them is this. We have to respect people's right to choose and let them choose. That's what our democracy is all about. So for us, we just keep fighting and we just keep educating people as to why we want our independence and why the feds don't matter anymore. But I'm not going to tell somebody you shouldn't vote conservative. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go after some people like that. And that's not right. So let's just stay in our lane, support people who they want to vote for. If they want to vote for the conservatives, liberals, or whoever, let them do that. They will wake up, and if they don't, that's their choice. But we're not going to criticize them. That's childish, and we don't need that. We've done enough of that since 2020, right? I think it's better that we try to be real leaders and stay in the middle and just keep focusing on what we're doing and spread the message. Love, peace, unity, and independence. Yes, Missy. You're so loud I can hear you in my headphones. She squawks when her master is not home. It's just like me. If I'm gone and my male cat, because he's really close to me, he'll sit at the door and bark. So I love my kitties. Anyways, that's it for now. Thank you for tuning in to Alberta Radio. You can check out our 24/7 feed, albertaradio.ca. And yes, we are crowdfunding to help us stay alive. It's just like every other media company, but we're not mainstream. So right now we are looking for help financially. So you can send a donation to jason@albertaradio.ca, which is at the bottom of the screen you see here. And don't forget, if you want to share your news with us, you have a tip of any kind, email me. Same email. And I'd like to get your stories, your information out, and we'll give you credit for it. So the way it works is this. If you send us a news tip, okay, and we post it and it does really well. Now, sometimes we do make money off of it, Facebook. It's very little. Like maybe sometimes we'll make $10 off a post, which is very rare. But whatever it does make, we will compensate that source. We'll give them what it's made for the monetization. I think it's important because you're bringing the source to us, and I got to figure out a way to compensate you, and I don't have money to give you. So if it's monetized and it makes something, I'll give you that. You know what I mean? And credit, of course. But it helps Alberta Radio grow too, right? So we can stay on top of what's going on local here in Alberta. And if we spread it out, that we can get people to email us tips from all over the province. You know what? We're building something new for Alberta, something solid by the people, for our communities, and for Alberta. That's my goal. So, like I said, we are looking for help financially. So you can, if you want to, you can send a donation or EMT to jason@albertaradio.ca. I hate asking, but we're at that point right now. We're not CBC. We're not funded by the Media Council. We don't get any grant money, and it's bad enough they hit us hard already in the last 3 months. The NDP reporting the anti-independence movement. They've been coming after our socials like mad. And if they don't come after me, they go after my wife. And I mean, it's just, but they don't realize that it affects people, right? Like anyways, much love. See you guys later. And I'm going to leave you guys with my track that played at the beginning. So I'm writing music again when I have time, and hope you enjoy it. So that's it. I'm Jay LaFace. This is Alberta Radio, and let's go. Alberta Independence. Let's go.